What is going on, NBA fans? This is your benevolent, all powerful, incorruptible, but not really commissioner, Jacob Schmitt. Also, I am your coach of the People's Team. There are a lot of People's Team, but we're the real People's Team, Columbus Swablu Jackets. So I'm really excited about this season. I am going to give a post match commentary on this first week one battle against Hunter and his Kentucky Torracats. I will say, as I start this, I tried to do live commentary for this battle, and it was so hard to focus that I couldn't do it. There were just so many things going on that I couldn't talk to people who weren't there. Also, we're new to this YouTube thing, so that was new for me. And so it was hard to actually give a commentary of what I was thinking as I was playing. Hopefully in the future, I want to do that. So week two, I'm going to try it again. We're going to see how it goes. But for now, we're just going to stick with post commentary. So what I will say, going into this week, it was really fun to prep for Hunter's team, mainly because, one, I really wanted Sandslash. I really wanted to draft Sandslash. That was really what I felt like was the only big snipe for me during the draft. And he got Sandslash one pick before I wanted Sandslash. So that was a big bummer. But also, apparently, I got Reggie Alecki one pick before he wanted Reggie Alecki. So I think we had a little animosity between us, and we brought both those mons that the other person wanted to draft. So that's kind of fun that we get to use those against each other. Also, looking at his team, he had a pretty scary team in general. He did have to draft. Well, he didn't have to draft, but he did it for the boys. But he drafted all three legendary dogs, kind of because someone made a comment about it, and then he did it for the memes. And I'm glad he did because it makes his team awesome and just so scary. And sure enough, we can see he brought all three of them here. He also brought Sandslash, like I said earlier. He brought Salamence, who's just a terrifying mon to go up against. He can do all kinds of things. And then also he brought Lilligant. I didn't prep for Lilligant. I don't know what Lilligant does going into this match, so I'm thinking, yeah, it's whatever. I'm not really too worried about Lilligant. Even though it resists Vicious Rend, it probably will get one shot. Will I need to calculate when the time comes? Maybe, sure. But I don't know. I didn't really do much prep this season in this week because in the past, I was always more of a defensive kind of team builder. I would prep for the opponent. And that just made me play more defensively. I wanted to have a counter for every mon that he brought defensively, that someone I could bring in 1v1 their mons. So I was kind of tired of team building like that. And this week, or this season, Dracovish, as you can see, I have Dracovish fell to the 9th pick. And so I kind of thought, well, I'm going to pick it. And then now I'm just going to kind of draft offensively and make my opponent prep for me, make him stop me. So I get to play a little more offensively this season, and I'm really excited about that. Specifically, you can see I have Dracovish, and I'm bringing him with Sand Rush this week, which is why I also drafted Gigalith, Mawile just for Intimidate. I think he's a pretty good physically defensive mon, good typing. And then we can see I have Blacephalon, who is just scary offensive with Beast Boost and good offensive typing, good offensive stats, physically even too, potentially. He has like 120 something physical attack, I think, and then like 145 special attack, so that's pretty exciting, Blacephalon is. And then Zarude, who I really wasn't a huge fan of when I drafted it. It was my last pick. I wanted a defensive mon, and I needed a grass type, so I was looking at Tangrowth, and then when it really got to me, I saw that Zarude was still there, and I thought, hey, he could be fun to mess with. And turns out he is. I've been playing with him a little bit on Showdown, and that's been fun. So I am excited about getting Zarude. And then also Reggie Alecki, who, like I said, 200 speed. I mean, that is just going to be so fun to use this season and kind of make team building pretty easy. So let's go ahead and let's get this game started. I'm thinking I'm going to lead Reggie Alecki because he has no one. He has Sandslash to take a Volt Switch, but Zarude is my pretty free switch into Sandslash. So that's what I'm thinking as I lead. So I lead Reggie Alecki. He leads his Salamence, so I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to Volt Switch out. If he switches in Sandslash, that's not a big deal because I can just bring in Zarude on Sandslash if he does switch in. He didn't, so I get the Volt Switch off and do huge damage, which is awesome. So I get a free Volt Switch out, and then I'm going to bring in Mawile to see what he does because he's kind of my physical answer. He does Dragon Dance, and I'm kind of scared at this point, and I'm thinking, oh, shoot, he Dragon Danced. I probably should play rough here. But he probably knows that, and he's probably going to Earthquake, right? And Earthquake will not one-shot me, So I'd love to get up spikes. So I'd either love to take this out or get up spikes. If he doesn't earthquake, I am in a pretty bad spot because he will have ×2 speed, which Regieleki will outspeed ×1 speed or +1 speed. But if he gets up to +2, I don't know that I would be able to outspeed it, and hopefully I can live hits with like Gigalith. So that I would be in a bad spot if he doesn't Earthquake on turn 2. But I'm going to put up Stealth Rocks. I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to put up Stealth Rocks. He does Earthquake, and I live it like I thought I would, and because he's neutral right now, and I get up Rocks, which is awesome. So I'm feeling good to start the match. That went well. I would have been really nervous if he got off a second Dragon Dance. I could be in trouble. And so now he's at +1 speed. I figure now I'm just going to stay in. Mawile has kind of done his job. He got Rocks up, and he has prevented Salamence from going for that second Dragon Dance. I know he's not Moxie, so if he does knock me out, it's not a huge deal. So I am going to just go for the Play Rough, and hopefully I don't miss. And now I assume he's going to knock me out. If he doesn't here, then I'll get the knockout on him, barring a miss. So we'll see. He does go for the second Dragon Dance, which was great for me because then I get to knock him out with the Play Rough there, which was huge. So Mawile already put in a ton of work. So now he brings in Sand Slash, which I kind of figured. And now I expect the Rapid Spin to get rid of my hazards, to get rid of those rocks. So I'm going to go Zarude. Like I've said, Zarude is my answer. And he actually decides to put up rocks of his own. And basically, I'm expecting the switch, which he does, as we can see there. He does switch into Entei turn 5, which I went ahead and IDU turned out, though. I expected the switch. He doesn't have boots, which is interesting, and that's great for me. So I'm glad I got rocks up, and he wasn't able to get him down. And then I just bring in Gigalith, who I know I'm going to get a setup Sand, so potentially get to bring in Dracovish and just be scary there. And then also I am just going to force out his Entei, which not having heavy-duty boots is great because if he wants to bring him back in, those rocks are still up, and they will hurt him. So I'm just going to go for a Rock Blast. Also, it just kind of lets me gauge damage on Suicune if he wants to bring Suicune in. It lets me gauge damage on Lilligant. So really, I'm just going to throw off a pretty safe Rock Blast because I'll get to see how much damage it does to either Suicune or Lilligant, whatever he wants to bring in. I am especially defensive Gigalith here, so I got that going for me, which the Sand really makes it especially defensive. And the Rock Blast did nothing. I only got 2 hits, which isn't a big deal. I just wanted to see what it would do anyways. That's fine. But those 2 hits show me that it is pretty physically defensive. I mean, I'm doing no damage to it with the Stab Rock Blast. So I'm just going to switch right out. There's really no point in doing anything else right now. And now my answer to Suicune, I didn't really have good answers. I have Zarude. I have Regieleki. I didn't want to go Zarude right here because he could Scald Burn if he decides to Scald. So I just go ahead and go Regieleki, which I did put some special defense investment in. Whatever I didn't put into speed and special attack, I went into special defense, so I could switch it in more on Suicune. So I bring in Regieleki here, and he actually makes a really cool play. He goes for a Whirlpool, which I think was sweet. That was awesome. And I'm kind of thankful because that did a lot of damage itself. And then especially when I'm taking Rocks damage, I'm taking Sandstorm damage, and then I'm taking the Whirlpool damage on top of that. It chips me down to 50%, which is a bummer. And then he switches out. I went for a Volt Switch here. Just kind of expecting, if he wants to bring in Sand Slash again, I have Zarude. But I was kind of hoping he would just sub and I'd get a free Volt Switch out. But I bring in Zarude on his Sand Slash. He sets up a Spike, which is a bummer. He's got a lot of hazards up. I don't love that, and I got to bring Regieleki in on those hazards, which I look at his HP. He's at 44%, so I know even with the 12% from Spikes, 12% from Rocks, I'm fine. So I'll live on 20% and be able to hopefully, I'll outspeed anything he's got and get a Rapid Spin off because I outspeed +1 any mon on his team. So that's basically what I set Regieleki to. Anything he wants to have scarfed, Regieleki will still outspeed. So I know I'll have the chance for a Rapid Spin. So I'm here with Zarude now, and I'm expecting him to switch again. But I play go for Darkest Lariat. And we can see there, that shows us that he is not Sand Rush, which is actually kind of huge. I was worried he'd bring Sand Rush, Sand Slash, but apparently Sand Veil. I don't know if that was an accident, and I don't know. I'm not too worried about it, I guess. But he does go for a Rapid Spin, or after I go for Darkest Lariat. I try to make the mid-ground play. He makes a huge play and stays in, which was great on his part. And he gets rid of his own rocks, which I was bummed about because they could really pressure Entei. But now I'm thinking, okay, he's gotten so much use out of Sandslash. I think he wants to keep Sandslash, so he has that electric immunity. So now I'm going to go for a U-turn because I don't think he's going to stay in here. But sure enough, which also I'll say, man, Zarude is putting in damage though. He hits this defensive Sandslash hard. But he does just mess with my brain and he stays in. And I could have had a kill on Sandslash, and which would have been awesome for Regieleki. But he stays in. And now I'm thinking, oh, well, bummer. He probably went for another attack. I'm just going to sack him all while. I don't really care that much. I'll get an Intimidate off. I will sack him all while, and then I can bring Zarude back in. Or even Dracovish back in. But no, he goes for another Spikes. And so I'm still kind of expecting to sack him all while, so I'm just going to stay in and go for a Play Rough. And he sets up a third layer of Spikes, which I was really worried about at first, but then I go and look at Regieleki. 44%, and we know that 25% now from all three layers of Spikes, plus the 12% from Stealth Rocks will not knock us out. That's only 37%. So Regieleki will live, and I can switch him back in on those hazards and not get knocked out, which is huge, but I need to get rid of them. So I'm just going to go for the Play Rough, and I almost take him out. I was so sad. He lives on 4%. That's no big deal, though, because we'll actually see here, if he does decide to knock me out here, I can bring in Regieleki. Which is what he does. He does knock me out. I'm going to bring in Regieleki. And now I kind of make a risky play. So you can see there I live on 6%. I'm going to make a risky play, and I'm going to go for the Rapid Spin here. I don't know if it's not really that risky. I don't know if it'll kill Sandslash, but if it does, that's huge, and I get rid of those hazards. So that would be awesome if I get the knockout here. And it does, yeah. So the Rapid Spin works. That was huge. That was great. And now I get a free Volt Switch out. So I'm just going to Volt Switch on his Raikou, which he brings in, which resists it. That's fine. And I bring in Gigalith. Gigalith, like I said, is my special wall, and it can live. I mean, it's just going to eat up anything that this Raikou throws at it. So he does Volt Switch out. But like I said, Gigalith takes that pretty well. Now I'm sitting at 71. He brought his Suicune in, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got Sand up. He only has 4 Mons left, so I'm expecting this game to not last super long, especially with just the offensive Mons that I have left. And I've got Sand, I've got Dracovish, and I've got Explosion. I'm going to explode just right in his face. I know I'll take any water hit he wants to throw. And I've seen Whirlpool. He does Whirlpool, and it doesn't do that much. But I just explode, and I don't do that much, which was a bummer. So I explode, only do 40%. And with the calcs that I had done, Dracovish is Vicious Rend. Even though he's only at 35%, I only did like 28 to 33 or something when I calced it there. Even with the choice banded adamant Dracovish that I had, I did nothing. If he was max defense, max HP Suicune, which I assumed he was because he probably would be his counter to Dracovish. So I bring in Zarude, and I'm tired of not attacking what's in front of me. That Sandslash just ruined me. So I just go for a Power Whip, and thankfully I hit, and I get the KO on Suicune, which is great. Now, I'm pretty sure Dracovish, if I get the chance to bring it in, comes in and wins. But he brings in Raikou, and I am okay with that, and I'm just going to go for a Power Whip, but he makes the huge big brain play and goes for Sunny Day, which I was so sad because I can't set Sand anymore. So Dracovish is much less of a threat. Still, I think he beats Entei 1v1, so it doesn't really matter. And then I missed the Power Whip, so just pour salt in the wound. That's a bummer. But I'm still not really scared of Raikou. If he wants to knock me out here, that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. He goes for a Discharge. It does nothing because I resist it. And then I get a Power Whip off, which does big damage and knocks him out. So Zarude, as you can see, I'm loving Zarude right now. He hits so hard. And then again, kind of foreshadowed at the beginning of this match, I didn't prep for Lilligant. I don't know what Lilligant does. And I was so confident that I was going to win at this point in the game that I didn't even check. I didn't even bother to check. I thought, oh, well, it's Lilligant. I'll get a free U-turn out on this and then bring in Blacephalon. But sure enough, Lilligant is most likely Chlorophyll, I'd assume, or it's Scarfed. I don't know. But he hits hard. So he gets a huge Pollen Puff off, and it is 4 times super effective to Zarude and knocks me out. I was bummed about that. I should have played that a little better. But it allows me to bring in Blacephalon for free. And now I can just go for a Flame Charge, which in the sun is going to do a lot of damage to this thing. And I think I pretty much win the game with Blacephalon here. He does switch out, which doesn't really matter at this point. I get the Flame Charge, so I know I outspeed. And then I can just kind of freely go for a Shadow Ball and then a Mind Blown and win this game. So I was Shell Bell Blacephalon. I got that from Envy. You probably saw him do that set just to allow me to survive a little longer and still get some huge Mind Blowns off. which it does there. One shots the Lilligant, and then I get to heal with Shell Bell there, which was fun. So fun to bring that. An awesome game from Hunter. I thought he played that really well. I really love my team. I was scared and prepping for Hunter's team, and then I remembered I have Dracovish, so I'm not super worried about prepping too hard for most of these matches because it's just fun to bring offensive mons and then see how they do. Especially with getting kind of the offensive Firewater Grass with Dracovish, Blacephalon, and Zarude. I love having those. I love having Regieleki. So this was a really fun week one for me. It was fun to go up against Hunter's team. I really lucked out. I will say turn two, had he gone for a second Dragon Dance when I went for that Stealth Rock with Mawile, I could have been in trouble. That would have totally changed the game. So I lucked out. Great game by Hunter. Good luck, Kentucky Torracats this season. And go Swablu Jackets. Hopefully I will see you all next week as we take on the Cincinnati Raikou.